Hey guys, TS here, and today we're going to be talking about the Ben Askren and Jake Paul fight, if you can even call it that. You know, I went into this event with some sort of expectation that there'd be, for whatever reason, I thought there was going to be a valid, actual, bona fide boxing match. I thought this would be a good display of martial, not an expert display, but a decent display of martial arts, of boxing. Well, pretty quickly into this thing, I realized that that wasn't going to be the case. And pretty quickly, I regretted spending $50 on this thing. And I wish I just would have streamed it on Twitch like 90% of people. There were a couple good fights. There were, I'd say two. I'd say two of the fights were. So the first fight was a guy named Joe Fournier, I think, versus Raycon. And I didn't know anything about either of these two guys. I guess Joe is a billionaire that owns nightclubs, I should say. And I think Raycon is a reggae artist or a reggaeton artist. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't heard anything from him. But this was an absolute just demolition job. Basically, Joe was just all over the guy. Raycon couldn't do anything. He was getting just pieced up left and right. I don't know. I don't remember him getting a single decent hit in. I think he was pretty much on the receiving end of every hit in that fight. And decisively, Joe Fournier won. Joe Fournier, however you want to say it. He ended up taking that victory pretty easily. Raycon had heart, though. He did have heart. He didn't give up, and he kept pushing forward even though he was getting his ass kicked. So you got to give him that. God, and then just intermixed between fights were just quote unquote concert, musical event after musical event. I'll talk about those for a minute. I was kind of in and out because I was also watching UFC 261, which was an actual martial arts event. You know, it was that's a whole nother topic. But the display of martial arts on that card. The main card, Whitaker, man, he looked sharp. But that's a whole different review. But anyway, I was trying to balance out watching the UFC event and also this ridiculous Triller circus sideshow. And I enjoyed seeing and I was actually really surprised, but seeing Ice Cube, Snoop, Too Short, and E40 up there all at the same time, that was actually a really cool thing to see. I didn't expect them to have classic hip-hop. I guess with Snoop Dogg being involved in the event, you know, you're going to expect some of that, but Snoop Dogg is really just a showman at this point. I wouldn't say he's too in touch with his roots. I don't really follow him too much anymore, but he's kind of just a promoter of ridiculous shit these days. But seeing all of them up there was pretty cool. When It Was a Good Day came on and Ice Cube came out, that actually made me smile. That was really cool. So seeing those four guys was cool. I think it might have been Too Short. It was either Too Short or E40 that came out. I'm pretty sure it was Too Short. He came out with that chick with the mesh suit, like the mesh lace suit. She was, out of all the chicks there, she was fucking bomb. She was hot. Not that any of that ridiculous shit has any place in a fighting event, but she looked good. She absolutely looked good. And then she's over there spreading her fucking butt cheeks. And actually, I did see an interview with Askren's goofy ass. I think it was on ESPN, but he was talking about how he was really disappointed in the whole thing. And he had his kids from his wrestling academy and he was telling them to watch it, and he was saying he can only think of how their parents were were reacting watching this event, watching their kids taking this all in, and he said he was feeling pretty embarrassed about that. I just thought it was funny. I'm sure there were quite a bit of 12, 13-year-olds locked in the bathroom with their parents telling them to hurry up and get out, because that's definitely what I would have been doing at that age. But either way, she was hot, and I feel bad for Ben's kids. But all in all, most of the entertainment was basically just, more of the same Cardi B WAP bullshit. She wasn't actually in it. I think the female acts were, I want to say SZA and Doja Cat, which my ex was super into fucking Doja Cat, so I know all about that shit. And I gotta say, not really my cup of tea, but some of her stuff is pretty smooth, so a little bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. But man, I just, the whole time these were going on, other than seeing Ice Cube come out mostly, I was just saying, I was telling myself, God, I hope they get to the fight soon. I really hope they get to the fight soon. It was getting late too. I had work the next day. I was working Sunday, so I just wanted them to hurry up and get to the fights. I was even debating just saving it and watching it the next day, but I was like, nah, I paid for this shit. I'm going to stay up and I'm going to see what the hell happens, which fucking let down. Let's just be honest here. But we'll get to that. So, I think the next fighting event was actually, and this was crazy, Frank Mir versus, the hell was the guy? Oh, it was Cunningham. Yeah, it was Steve Cunningham. So it was Frank Mir, UFC legend. Not boxing isn't his specialty. He has some hands. Boxing wasn't his specialty though. Steve Cunningham, bona fide boxer. So everybody, expected that to go one way, and it did. It did. It went Cunningham's way for sure. But Mir was holding in there. He was hanging in there. He didn't get his ass kicked as bad as the announcers said he'd. And that's the other thing. The announcers for this were fucking ridiculous. None of them knew much of anything about boxing or fighting. Obviously, Oscar De La Hoya was there, and he's a legend. Even though he was on a whole nother level too. Man, it just, as you talk about this stuff, it's just rabbit holes of nonsense. You just go deeper and deeper and deeper. So you could talk about how De La Hoya was, probably crossfaded, talking about the USSR, and he's like, go USSR, and all this other shit. And I don't know if he thought he was, I don't know what he thought he was doing, but he couldn't quite string it together. But, he's a fighting legend, so you got to give him his due. That being said, they really didn't give Frank Mir his props. Mir did better than they were making it sound. They were making it sound like Cunningham was absolutely whooping his ass. But while it was one-sided for the most part, Mir was throwing him too. He was in there. He was hanging in there. And he went the distance with a professional boxer. So, and, he was out of shape. So what do you want him to do? He took the L, but he gave the guy a good fight. So that's my thoughts on that one. And then after that, I'm sure it was fucking more concerts. I don't really remember the sequence of things. But at one point, Bieber came out. And I did think it was kind of funny. Obviously, he does this whole grand entrance coming out of the truck and shit. But he was walking up the ramp, and obviously it was planned, but one of his entourage or somebody said Justin play Baby or some shit. I think it said something like that. And obviously Baby is his breakout single back in, I think it was '08, back when I was in middle school. That everybody knew him for, obviously pre-puberty Justin, Usher finding him, and I think Usher was in that video. Yeah, I remember that shit like it was yesterday. But yeah, somebody holding that sign up got me, and I was thinking he'd actually do it, but I don't think his voice can sing that anymore. I don't know. I just thought that was funny. So he comes in and he does his thing. something off his new album, I guess. I'm not really sure, but it sounded smooth. It sounded good. Whatever. Like I was thinking the whole time, just get to the fucking fights. And I don't remember if he came after Pro Gray versus Ivan Redkach or Redkach or some shit like that. But that was the next fight. Regis Pro Gray against Ivan Redkach. Some dude with like blue hair. I don't really know who the fuck he was, but he got his ass lit the fuck up. He got his ass handed to him. Just Regis just laid into him. He had no answer for anything Regis was doing. He was just coming in on with the jab cross, just getting him every single time. You know, the dude had no head movement, no defense. And I don't remember, I think it might have been round 2 or 3. He took like a graze, like he took a cross or like an uppercut to his left side, and it grazed him barely, and he went down. This dude went down. The ref called it a low blow at the time. I'm not sure if that was overturned or what, but either way, he had to be carried off in a stretcher. Like, this dude was like, I don't know if he got his acting skills from Aljamain Sterling or what, but he was definitely acting a fool, laying on the ground, writhing around like he got hit in the nuts, like his damn nuts got popped in their sack. Like, this dude was acting like he was hurting, and when they showed the replay, they showed it about 80 times, but they kept showing it, and each time they showed this replay of this punch, you could see how Progray's hand, and you could see it easier and easier every time, how it almost looked like it didn't even touch the guy. Like, it barely skimmed his side, and he went to the floor clutching his fucking nuts. So, he was probably just looking for a way out. Like I said, you know, acting almost as good as Sterling. At least Sterling took a fucking real knee to the face from Jan. Like, at least, you know, you could give him that. This dude didn't take shit, and he acted like he was dying, so that's how that ended, him getting carried off on a stretcher. And that was the end of that. That was the end of that fight. Then, I'm sure, I think Justin might have gone after that. I don't know. I get the performances mixed up just because that really wasn't what I was there for. So I'm not sure the exact order of those things, but I'm sure there was another performance in between that and the main event. But then eventually, the main event came around. Askren walks out. You know, he's chill, calm, collected, acting like he's ready to fight. Gets in there. Paul comes out. Obviously, the showman with his stupid ass robot behind him. Some guy on stilts in a fucking robot suit or something. He comes walking out behind him, and I think he walked out to MIA paper planes or whatever. I think that's what it was. But he comes out, stupid robot twerking behind him. So he gets to the ring, and he's ready to go too. They're almost ready to get the match started. So the ref. So yeah, that's the other thing. The fucking ref, just an ancient dude. Ancient, probably ready to go home. You know, he'd done all the events. He was burnt out. It was like midnight where I was, and they were at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which is in Georgia. So they're on Eastern time. So it was at least 2 o'clock in the morning over there. 1 or 2 in the morning. Maybe it was a little bit earlier, but it was still late as hell. So that, you know, this dude was ready to go home. It's just some old washed out ref. And that was why, and I'm going to get to this, but that's why I think he stopped it when he did. But, you know, he called it in. They were getting ready to go, and then you have Buffer over there. Bruce Buffer's, in my opinion, less talented brother. Obviously, people are going to say that he's got more clout, that he's done more, that he's the Buffer that everybody knows from back in the day. But I just think Bruce is better, personally. But this dude, he was calling names out, and he called Askren, he called him Ben Askew. And then you see Ben's face, he just looks confused, like he doesn't know what the fuck is going on. And I don't know if, somebody in Paul's team paid him off to say that, or if he just made an honest mistake. I'm not sure. It's definitely something I would see Paul doing, though, just doing his stupid little troll thing. And, called him Askew. Maybe Paul did that to, suck some energy out of him. I don't know, suck a little life out of him, suck a little fight out of him, maybe demoralize him a little bit. You never know. But he did that. He calls out Jake Paul. They're getting ready. Ref steps in. All right, fight, go. So Ben's kind of unathletically stumbling towards Jake, trying to grab for him and clinch him up and, put a little weight on him, maybe tire him out. But the whole time, Jake is just throwing hands and he's catching him with stuff. And then he just catches him round one with a fucking right cross. It just puts Ben, didn't even put him on his ass. He actually got picked up off the canvas and dropped to the side. He kind of lifted up a little bit and flew to the side. So, and this is assuming he didn't take the dive, which I don't think he did. I want to say I do not think he took a dive. I don't think he gave a shit. I don't think he went to fight. I think everybody's saying, oh, Ben's a fucking competitor. Ben came to fight. But I think Ben came for the payday and didn't give a shit about the fight. So Jake just hits him, puts him down on the fucking canvas, and he gets up. Ben gets up, and he looks like he's ready. He's maybe, his footing's not quite there yet. He's a little shaky. Still just a little bit dazed from getting rocked, which I totally understand. He got hit hard, but he said he was ready to go. So I assumed, okay, he's probably going to go down 2 more times in this round at this rate, and it's going to be over. And I thought it would be a round 1 TKO anyway, if not a KO. But the ref stopped it. He got to an 8 count and said, no, you're not good, and stopped the fight. Said it was over. So, and that was the end of that. That was the end of the match. And I think he called that early. I do. Like I said earlier, I think he was ready to go home. But that being said, I think Ben still would have taken the L anyway. Just because, yeah, he's good on the mitts. Like George St. Pierre says, everybody's a pad legend. Everybody's a champ on the pads. So he started towards the end there looking a little bit better on the pads and the stupid pressers and shit. He looked better doing that than Jake did fucking doing his gay yoga with that dude on the ground. That's all I'll say about that. But turns out that works for Jake, at least when he's fighting somebody who isn't a boxer. We'll see what happens in the future with all that, though. But Ben took the L, and he comes out of it talking like, I told everybody from the start, don't get your hopes up. Win or lose, it's not going to change my life. But then at the same time, he's talking shit like, 2021's a good year to beat up the whole Paul family. And, Jake's just a stupid kid, and he's nothing to me, acting like he's nothing to him. And if you're going to put that front on, you got to actually come to play. You got to come beat this kid's ass. He didn't. And he's trying to play it off like it's no big deal, but it's embarrassing. This is going to follow him for the rest of his life. And he says it's not going to haunt him. But any man worth his salt, any man at all, is going to be bothered by getting knocked the fuck out. The way he did, being a professional fighter and having all these, having this pedigree that he has, I don't know. He can say what he wants, but I think it'll be a demon of his for years to come. And that was that. Event was over. Severely disappointed, obviously. I wanted somebody to shut this kid up. He's padded his record with weaklings for too long. Tyron T. Wood called him out. And I didn't see this, but I guess he came into the room or something and was backing Ben up, because I think him and Ben are boys. So T. Wood goes in there and backs him up. And I guess Jake got real quiet when T. Wood came in. I didn't see the clip, I'm not sure. But T. Wood's calling him out. Hopefully, maybe, Jake will take that fight. And Tyron will beat his ass. Somebody will. Somebody will. He's calling out McGregor. I'm sure McGregor would light him up. His fucking brother's calling out Mayweather. which is ridiculous. Absolutely, he can't even beat KSI, and he's trying to beat Mayweather. And I know he's got like a foot and a half on Mayweather, and probably 50 pounds, but still, it's a fucking, like I said at the start, it's a circus show. But that was the event. That's how it went down. Disappointed in Ben. I think most of the world's disappointed in Ben. We all wanted to see Jake get knocked out. Not all of us, but the vast majority that aren't, fucking 7 years old wanted to see Jake get knocked out. Didn't happen this time. Probably happen next time. But now you got Jake on Instagram throwing $1 bills around like he's all that, which I don't get, because it did like 1.3 million pay-per-view buys, $65 million. I'm sure he got a big cut on top of his, 850 million that he got for doing it. I'm sure he got a cut of the pay-per-view. So he should be throwing hundreds around. I'm sure he has it. So I don't know why he's sitting in the lawn fucking throwing around ones, but I don't know, just another goofy thing that one of the Pauls does. That about wraps it up, though. If you liked the video, like it. Give it a like. If you like reviews like this, if you want to see more, go ahead and hit the subscribe. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time.